Hi everyone, this is Paul here for the Magnificent. So I'm talking about the energies present in the skies during June, and most of the energy is all going to be about transformation, need to embrace change and adaptability in our approach to situations, and spiritual alchemy. So we start the month with Sun in Gemini, so the theme there is perception, communication, exploring our immediate environment, and widening our worldview through conscious communication with other people. So by this what I mean is, when we engage in conversation with people, especially when it comes to debating, we take a conscious action to remain as truthful as possible with our communication whilst remaining tactful so we don't hurt the other person's feelings, but we also remain open to what the other person is saying as well. So the important point here is listening carefully to what the other person is saying, and if we're not sure what they mean, don't assume anything, ask questions and get them to clarify what they're saying so that we can understand their point of view, because when we do this we can then see what is the underlying truth that lies between the two points of view, so that we get a close idea of what reality is. Because the thing is, we all have perceptual biases. By this what I mean is that we look at the world, we take in all the information, come through our senses, but then our mind constructs a model of this world. So what we see with our eyes is the model in our heads, not necessarily the whole of reality. So there'll be information that we miss out because of these biases, but we all have different biases. So by communicating honestly and openly with other people, we get to see where these biases are that cause us to miss key bits of information, but the other person has picked it up. So by us honestly sharing our point of view and they doing the same, we can both come away with a more accurate view of the world, because we've heard a new part of the truth that at the moment we've not been able to perceive because of these biases. So that's Sun in Gemini for you. It's widening our perceptual view so that we become anchored in the here and now. We see reality for what it is, not what we think it is. Then on the 20th of June, Sun moves into Cancer, sign ruled by the Moon, and here is getting down to the roots of our being. So this is looking at our past conditioning, separating out the egoic responses. So by this what I mean is, we've had experiences in the past that have moulded us in some way, and whenever new experiences come along which are similar, it causes an automatic emotional reaction based on these cues. The key here is to separate out the old experiences from the emotional reactions, so we create a gap between the two and then break it to release that old conditioning, so that we can see that any new situation which may feel similar is actually different, so we don't have to respond the same way as we have in the past. We can try and free ourselves from that conditioning. It's also getting down to the roots of our being, so it's knowing who we are. So our private self, the side that only we see that no one else does, because that private self is where our dreams lie, where our heart's desires are. So by spending time with ourselves, to spend time in quiet and creating those roots, we feel secure within ourselves, we get that emotional security, and when we feel emotionally secure within ourselves without relying on another person nurturing us, we can then show true nurturing to other people, which isn't going to smother them. So Cancer is nurturing, things like food, it's emotional closeness, it's a feeling of security, but we may, if for whatever reason we're insecure, we may fear intimacy from other people, so we erect psychological barriers, or we may overcompensate by being too nurturing with other people, and we end up smothering their growth so they can't achieve much growth themselves, because we're interfering with their growth process. So that's what the Sun in Cancer will bring, starting from the 20th of June when we hit the summer solstice here in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern. Now in terms of key dates for June, the first one will be the 9th of June when we have the full moon in Sagittarius. So this will be an opportunity to reflect on the balance between Gemini and Sagittarius, but also shows us the end results of whatever intentions we set back on the 29th of November last year at the Sagittarius new moon, because the full moon of any sign is both an opportunity to reflect on how we balance the two signs in the full moon, but also to see how the intentions set at the corresponding new moon 6 months ago have finally manifested at the last stage. So it's a time of harvest. So if you can remember what intentions you set at the new moon Sagittarius, you can see how well they've manifested, and time of reflection. So see how well have you manifested those dreams, if you have manifested them at all, and how well have we struck the balance between the logical, rational side of the mind and intuitive, broad stroke part of the mind. Because Gemini gathers all the facts. So if you used an analogy of a painting, Sagittarius is the broad strokes, it paints the big picture. Gemini is the fine brush that adds in all the fine detail. So Sagittarius creates a tree, Gemini paints in the detail of all the different leaves on the tree. So with this full moon, we need to look at, do we get the balance between gathering new experiences to ourselves and feeding that into our conceptual framework that we view reality through, and do we allow new experiences to modify our belief system in a way that empowers us to live reality based on our own belief system, rather than just blindly following what everyone else is believing when our personal experiences do not support the belief system that we've inherited. So it's about using the new experiences that we get through Gemini's curiosity and desire for change and exploration, and whatever we learn through those experiences, we then use those to modify our framework of experience. And we may find that during the full moon we decide to do a bit of long distance travelling as opposed to the short distance travelling of Gemini, and may look at the philosophical side of life, because there's three parts to Sagittarius. You've got the gypsy, which expands through physical travel, the student expands through mental travel, and philosopher through intuitively gathering all the information together. And this is spiritual travel, so you don't necessarily have to leave country of birth, but it's all about expanding the mind. The next key date will be the 15th of June. This is when Neptune goes retrograde. So with Neptune, he kind of represents the veils of illusion. When he's direct, these veils are quite thick, so our ego can be quite strong. But when he goes retrograde, these veils become a lot thinner. Now, depending on how many veils of illusion we have within ourselves, i.e., what's the distance between who we think we are and who we truly are, with Neptune retrograde, it's a chance to remove some of these veils from within us. But because everyone has the veil slightly thinner, it also means that the energy that we give out based on our vibration has a lot more power to modify the environment and the way people are behaving around us. So the main thing here is develop the spiritual strength within us. We can't just get into whatever habit of expecting other people to save us from ourselves. That is not going to empower us in any way whatsoever. We have to develop the spiritual strength within ourselves through spiritual practice, through raising our vibration consciously so that we radiate love both to ourselves and to other people. And then the more we embody this love, the more that love radiating out from us can raise the vibration of the collective, because love is far more powerful than fear. And the more we radiate love, the more fear we can offset, and the more we can change the world through power of our spiritual energy as opposed to just physical action. Because love, the more we radiate love, the more that love will guide other people, and the more they will open up to it, and they may feel calm in our presence if we're radiating love. And it may suddenly make them think, or how can I get that feeling for myself without having to be around this person? So the more we can radiate love, the more our energy will change the world around us, whilst Neptune is retrograde, because everyone is more susceptible to the higher energy of spirit at this time, because the veils of illusion are thinned. The next key date is the 24th of June, so this is the new moon in Cancer. So this is an opportunity to set intentions in areas like physical nurturing, emotional security, and food that we eat, because food is a form of nurturing. Cancer rules the stomach, and to understand our emotion and so develop emotional awareness. So if we just get automatic emotional reactions, the new moon in Cancer is a chance to set intentions to understand our emotions, to become more aware of how they operate within our lives, and become more conscious of how we express emotions, so we can strive to move towards love rather than automatic fear-based reactions. And it's also about letting go of insecurities, which either may manifest as us erecting psychological walls between ourselves and others, or it may manifest as a clinginess to other people, where we end up smothering that person, don't give them the freedom that they want. So that's some of the potential manifestations of Cancer, though for each of these key events I'll also be doing another video to go into more detail. Now, there's a key aspect pattern throughout a large chunk of them. It's a grand trine between Saturn in Sagittarius, Uranus in Aries, and North Node in Leo. So with Saturn and Uranus together, they're normally antagonistic, but because there's a trine, whatever revolutionary energy Uranus brings in, the status quo is more susceptible to modifying to it. So whatever revolutions we create within ourselves, it's more likely to be long lasting this time, as opposed to flash in the pan like so many of the revolutions we've seen go before us. So it's important that whatever changes that we implement are for a higher good, are empowering, and not just for ourselves but for others. But this pattern is, because trying the North Node, this pattern is also asking us to understand what our life purpose is and commit to it. So it's a case of stop being the passenger in your life and start to be the driver of it. Because with the North Node in Leo, it's time to stop going with the flow, stop giving up our power to conform to the collective, and figure out what is our heart's desire, what do we want to create, and how can we take center stage in our own lives, so we're taking responsibility for our own actions rather than just blindly following what other people are doing, which if you stay with the crowd, you'll go no further than the crowd. If you have the courage to step out and follow the road less travelled of your own path, then you may well discover a place more beautiful than you ever would have discovered if you just follow the crowd. So this month is challenging us to undergo spiritual alchemy, to transform our sense of self, to transform our beliefs of what is possible for us to create, and have the courage to take those steps. The final key point this month is Chiron going retrograde in Pisces. So during this period, the key point is reflecting on wounds. So in Pisces, this is about wounds of disconnection. So it could be where we engage in escapism or any kind of addiction to try and connect the source, because we struggle to connect with it in a healthy way. So we could be looking at issues like drug addiction, alcoholism, addiction to sugar, anything like that modifies our state, excessive sleeping, anything where we're trying to compensate for feeling disconnected and lost from source. So chances are, whatever wounds do emerge from the surface that have happened recently, they'll also reflect patterns from the past. And if we can reflect on them, bring them to the light, and connect to source, which we all have the capacity to do, we can heal that part of us that's been wounded for a long time, as well as the more recent wounds, and we can achieve a greater degree of healing and wholeness than we've ever achieved so far in life. And this is a constant process in life. Healing is a verb, it's not a noun, so it's something that we're constantly doing. It's a process, it's a journey. But with Chiron retrograde, it makes us more aware of the core wounds that we don't necessarily address most of the time. And if we can consciously address it and heal it through loving acceptance, we can achieve a greater degree of psychological wholeness than we've ever achieved so far. So that's the overall energies of June. There's a lot of transformation, a lot of potential to step into our own personal power and take charge of our lives, and to achieve a greater psychological wholeness through love and acceptance. So I hope it's a useful gauge for this month. May it bring many blessings through the challenges that we all face. May you arise from at the other end of June stronger for it.